And we're rocking and we're rolling. And welcome to Everything But the Scores with Danny Giles. My name is Danny Giles. Today is May 24th, 2022. All standard things. Subscribe, rate, comment, tell a friend, get involved. Every Monday, I usually post Is there anything you want to talk about? That's always when it's a good time. Also, people have been messaging me about a lot of things. The video thing, boy, I sure would love to show highlights on YouTube. I'll tell you, I would love to video reference the things that we talk about on here. We think about it all the time, and then I think YouTube will just tear me down in 2 seconds, so I can't. But believe me when I say we think about it a lot, and someday the YouTube will get big enough where I'll be able to take little risks, but right now, I can't show any highlights. But they're always in the description underneath. Joining me today, as always, co-host, Noah Kapil, everybody.
Woo! Yeah.
Noah.
Yeah. Ooh, love that, love that. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Amazing. And then sometimes we have a guest, sometimes we don't. Today, and so far, every single time, we've had a guest. But I continue to set up the fact that there will be versions of this show where we do not have a guest. And I want people to not be mad at me. Our guest today, though, excited to say not a comic. Thank God. Comedic actor, but not a straight-up stand-up comedian, which breaks our trend that we've had, which had to break at some point. You might know him from the TV show Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, where he played Tobin, Scene Stealer, as I've told him 1,000 times.
Thank you.
You might also know him from Charmed, a show I don't watch, but
Didn't even need to put that in there, but he's like, by the way, I don't watch the show.
I assume you're sexy on it, though.
I am sexy on it.
I knew you were sexy on it.
Good recovery.
Well, I mean,
He is a
listen,
sportsman.
I don't lie to
Yeah,
my audience.
no, you're
I don't
right.
lie to my guests.
He's a truth teller.
To sing one show is pretty good.
Uh-huh.
And you might also know him from upcoming Night Court, coming soon to...
NBC.
There it is. I was like, what is it?
Oh, wait, I think it's NBC.
Bum, bum, bum. Yeah,
There it is.
There it is. And I was on a musical theater show as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Kapil Talwalkar, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for being here, buddy.
I just want to say, first off, actually, that you have a very... Like, people compliment me on my voice. You did before this.
Maybe you do have a great voice.
Thank you. I think you have a great voice. I'm not in like a really weird way, but like I think you have a very distinct voice.
I do.
And it's immediately I can pick it up out of nowhere. Like even if I'm like scrolling on my Instagram mindlessly and I hear like 3 words that you're saying, I'm like, oh, Danny Giles.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate that. Yeah. I have a very unique way of talking, I've been told.
Yeah.
Where it's
you pause in random places.
Very weird. And it's
very
great
weird
as an actor because people always are like, wow, you make such weird choices. And I'm like, it's actually just how I talk. It's actually just kind of how I speak. But people always are like, wow, really cool choices this actor. Just trying to say them, literally in my mind being like, what is the next thing? So like, God, this guy's, he's really thought this out.
Yeah.
I try to be good, but you're a great actor.
Thank you.
Really great. I have said once again, on Zoe's, you steal so many scenes. Now, we were having a discussion in this room. We have Inez Cantor, formerly Inez Freedom. Or no, presently Inez Freedom, changed his name. Yeah. We talked about him like a podcast or 2 ago, actually. He is from Turkey, spoke up against the Turkey government very bravely, and then has promptly kind of gone a little bit to the other side and started talking on Republican conventions, but I don't think he does. But then you were saying go.
Okay, well, first of all, Inez is amazing. When he teamed up with Steven Adams on, dude, that was incredible.
Steven Adams, those who don't know sports. So first off, this is a basketball player, those who don't know sports. Secondly, Steven Adams is a basketball player from New Zealand, Australia?
Yeah, New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Yeah.
Who is like famously the most physical basketball player in the game. Like a just physical freak, should really be a football player, but is tall enough where he's a basketball player. Destroys people, and he played with Inez Freedom during that time. Go ahead.
Yes. So we were talking about Turkey, right?
Yes.
And he's speaking out against Turkey. And yes, he's gone off the deep end somewhat. And I think that, though, some of the things that he's talking about Turkey are very valid. Mm-hmm. I visited Turkey in 2013 with a group at USC. I went to USC and we did a summer program called Problems Without Passports, We had passports, so we didn't have any problems getting in. But,
Sure.
But
But you know, in the classic college way of like, but we can kind of understand.
yeah, be like, I don't know. The name sounds really cool.
The whole class is they just take you to the passport and they're like, this is going to be a nightmare.
This is
Like, I learned a lot about this.
I don't know why they called it that. They should.
But you know.
But anyway, they were trying. We all had passports, so we got in seamlessly. But we get there, and we're staying at, I think, the Marriott or the Ramada in Turkey, in Istanbul. And at the time, Erdogan was like, who's the prime minister of Turkey, was like starting out his semi-tyrannical reign. So
Yeah.
I remember that we were there was a national park that was right by us where we were staying in Istanbul called Gezi Park, which has been there for a very long time. And Turkey's very nationalist culture. If you go just drive around, there's Turkish flags all over the place. There's a picture of Ataturk, who's like essentially the founder of Turkey, everywhere. Like they're very, very proud of their culture. And so the park is like basically a staple of all of this. And I remember in 2013, we show up and then the park is filled with protesters. And we're like, okay, maybe we can do a side mission here. And like we were there for like, we were there for something totally different. We were seeing how Muslim democracy compares with Egypt and Turkey. Okay. So we did the Egypt part, and funny enough, the president of the Muslim Brotherhood, which was the political party in Egypt at the time that was, had won the majority share. The president, Morsi, was a USC professor. So,
Wow.
yeah, math
Just all
professor.
side jobs.
It's just, dude, these side jobs. Yeah, I don't know.
This feels crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess USC pays well. You can't say no.
I mean,
so
apparently,
yeah.
I feel like if I was the country, I'd be like, let's stay focused. Let's keep it on here. Like,
yeah.
Well, I guess they come back for sure.
Let's use you. I understand the kids, they got problems with passports, but let's get you back here.
Yeah. Well, anyway, long story medium, he got overthrown by a coup and was thrown in jail. But then we went to Turkey, and this was happening. And we went and we interviewed, I think, one of the ministers in the government through our USC connections. And we were talking to him, and we're like, "Hey, by the way, these protesters in Gezi Park, is it safe to be here?" And he goes, "Yeah, I wouldn't be there around 5 p.m. if I were you today." And I'm like, "Why would you tell us this?"
Yeah.
So we go there, we show up, and we start interviewing a bunch of people before 5 p.m. We're like, what's happening? And most of the people are like, okay, so Erdogan wants to give up part of this park for foreign investment. So they're just bulldozing a section of this park to build in. And some people didn't know what they were there for. We're like, the teachers strike. I'm like, what?
That's a classic protest. There's always some people there you're like, I think you just like to protest, and I think you're just kind of like, there's always that group.
There's always like, even here, anywhere in the world, there's like
literally
just like one dude who's just like, freedom for dogs.
Yeah, you're like, all right, I get it. But
I get it, but
being like, all right, we need numbers. So let's
just say, get him in there. Get him in there. So, we interview them, and then we see what's going on, and we learn about what's going on with the park, and then the foreign investment coming in, and land in the park being sectioned off for all this. And so we're like, all right, can I swear?
Oh, fucking go for it, bro.
Fuck yeah! So we go back to the hotel. We're like, shit, something might be going down tonight. Sure enough, 5 p.m. Tanks, water cannons, tear gas. Like, the government just comes in, starts going in, and we're like, does anyone have alcohol? And we're like sitting just watching by the window, and we can't. There's tear gas coming in. So we're just like, okay, what's going on now?
So wild. And are they arresting people or just dispersing?
No, everything. They're arresting some people. They are dispersing some people, and then, they're trying to take cover and using, objects and stuff to stop the rubber bullets and the water cannons and stuff like that. And I'm like, this is wild. Mm-hmm. So,
that's crazy.
So much for peaceful protest, but I guess I don't know what the actual backstory was behind.
Well, it speaks to why Inez says what he speaks out against that government very openly, and also says some things we don't. But I do. That's why I'm always like, because you said ahead of time we can talk about him, and I was like, he's so complicated to talk about. He's a very complicated guy because he is both someone who I've been like, man, this guy takes balls to speak up against an authoritarian government. It takes a lot of balls when your family's still there.
Yeah,
like that takes guts. You're based like that. He knows he'll never go back to Turkey until that government's overthrown. He'll never get to visit his home, anything, and also saying some things we don't always agree with.
Yeah, and I just the whole family being back there, I'm like, maybe you could have waited until they're safe.
It's so hard, though. I mean, it's like same with Ovechkin, with Russia. Like, there's all these people who it's like it's very hard to get your family out, specifically when you're also one of the famous people from that country. It's not like it's tough. I mean, part of it is as a dumb American guy who just like follows sports. It's hard to even tell like what really is happening and how hard it is to get them out because they also Inez is so, but like Ovechkin is a hockey player from Russia. He won't talk about it. He's just like, I don't talk about Russia. Like, I don't talk about Putin. He used to talk about it, and then now he's like, I don't talk about it. And we sort of have to piece together what we think he's thinking. But, like, it's hard. It's a very tricky situation.
I get it, man. I mean...
Now, with that said, first off, this is, by the way, the smartest start to a podcast we've ever had. This is very... I'm pumped that we just had that.
Great.
We've never started smart.
Great.
With that said, I do have to get my standard questions out.
Hit me.
Did you play sports growing up?
I did. I played baseball, minor leagues, and then...
Minor leagues?
Minor, as in the minor in the minor versus major little league.
Oh.
Like, I wasn't good enough to be in the... I wasn't good enough to
this
be...
This podcast just changed. Because when we have when I have like an athlete on, the first story is like literally about their athletic journey. So I was like, "Oh, we're about to talk about your minor league career." Minor league is in little league baseball.
Little league, minor league. Like I wasn't good enough to be in the major league, minor leagues.
Got it.
But this was like the like everybody gets to play league.
Right. Sure.
Yeah. A child.
But nothing to sneeze at. What position you play?
I played pitcher. And I caught sometimes.
Ooh.
And then when I was not doing that, I was just deep right field.
Deep
right field.
Tough to get there.
I was good at fly balls, and because I was simultaneously playing cricket, and as in the cricket community, we catch with our hands. Mm-hmm. So whenever I see Instagram videos of like a baseball player heroically taking his mitt off and catching with his hands, I'm like, this is everyday life.
Oh, wow.
For cricket.
That is true, but also the ball isn't smashed like it is, right? Does it come as hard as it is?
At 95 miles an hour off the bat. Wow. Yeah.
I saw literally an Instagram video this morning about someone in slow motion showed a 100-mile-an-hour baseball hitting someone's glove.
Oh, yeah.
And you just see the finger just do something fingers shouldn't do, and you're like, great, you're catching a bullet at that point. Like,
yeah,
I've caught I think I've caught once like someone who was like, I'm gonna throw, and like they threw like 80 or something, and I just remember being like, I caught it once, and I was like, that's done.
Yeah.
We're not doing that again.
And with a glove, so if you're doing if it's hands, that's
so because in cricket you can put the fielders anywhere 360 degrees. So sometimes when I played cricket, I was a good fielder, okay, and so I would be like right next to the batsman. Right, and so if the batsman is like 7 feet away, I would be right here. I'm like, are you sure, guys? You want me here? Like, yeah. Trust me. And I would get balls hit at me super fast. I mean, it was like little leagues in cricket, so it wasn't that fast. But can you imagine?
Sure, but you're also a kid, also. So it's this, the speed becomes subjective of like you're also not able to take a 50-mile-per-hour ball at that age.
Now think about the professional cricket players who field in that position. All they're given are shin guards. I'm like, that's it?
By the way, the bone that basically can't break. The one bone that can't break.
The one that can't break.
The one bone that doesn't, like, it just hurts a lot, but doesn't actually stop you from, like,
Yeah.
your
Hey, maybe you
fingers,
have a helmet.
Their fingers are just destroyed by
Destroyed. I mean, you should see a cricket player's hands. It's just like, it's leather.
Oh yeah, it's same with like football, basketball, like all
Yeah.
of it. It's all. I mean, I always find it so fascinating. It's just when they hold up their hands and they're like, "It's great, you know, we had a really good career." Just like,
Yeah.
Jesus, that can't be good for you.
Yeah.
And where? So you played this in India?
No. My family is Indian.
Right.
So
Where were you born?
I was born in India.
Oh, okay, I was
born in India.
I
I was born in India, but I came here when I was 2.
okay.
But like my family was very much Indian and American. Like it was like I was playing baseball simultaneously. Like my dad was my little league coach. By the way, that was a horrible idea.
Sure. Yeah, everybody's had that experience.
Yeah, he was.
My dad was my basketball coach for 2 seconds, and then for a while he was a great coach. But then my sister was better at soccer, and he quickly swapped to be her coach.
Oh, great.
Which made sense.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah, but
get out of here.
Much nicer.
This career's going a little bit more comedic. You can all tell what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm not growing.
Now, imagine an angry immigrant dad
Sure.
as your little league baseball coach with a bunch of other white kids with you who are just like nurtured and like, honey, it's okay, everybody wins. And my dad's like, get off the field, you suck.
All right. Yeah. And you're like, all right.
All right, sorry guys, I'm so sorry.
I do suck.
Yeah, I do suck.
Need to get better. It's so funny. But in your place you grew up, there was a cricket league.
Yeah, there was a cricket league. It was called CCA, California Cricket Academy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I grew up,
Because I'll tell you, there was no cricket where I grew up.
There was no cricket?
No.
Where'd you grow up?
Virginia.
Virginia. Oh, there isn't a massive cricket community in
if you can believe
Chesapeake.
The Chesapeake Bay, not a ton of cricket, but we did have a lot of lacrosse.
Oh, great. Okay.
Which is growing up, I tried so hard to get into lacrosse. I remember I would watch it 100 times over and just be like, man, there's got to be a way to get into this.
Yeah. Is there a position that you played that you felt that you resonated with?
Oh, goalie was always my go-to because I have fast reactions. It's always been like even like on stage, like that was something I learned very early. It was like I can react very quickly to things.
Yeah.
So I was always like, my go-to in any sport was like, all right, let me play goalie because I know I can do that. And so I would play goalie on occasion, but I mean, you're guessing with lacrosse. That ball's coming so fast. Like when someone gets a full throw, it's like you're not like you're just praying. Like it's just, can I be in the way?
Yeah.
And you're padded up and you're just hoping you hit. But I felt like I was pretty good at it.
Now I have a question for you.
Yes.
So your fast reactions on stage.
Yeah.
Is there a comeback that you remember in recent times that you're very, very, I don't know, happy about?
That's a great question. I will say this. I have a very sweet face. So people tend to not come at me on stage.
Yes.
Like I don't get a ton of angry hecklers. Yep. Is there anything that like recently? Well, I'll tell you the one. Yes, I'll tell you what I did because I've done it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
4 middle-aged women, stage right. So noisy, so loud, so rude. And I clock them the second I walk on stage because I'm like, they're trouble. They're drinking. They're trouble.
Yeah.
And they keep interrupting me. And I've done this hard time. And I was like, you 4 are so annoying. And they're like, I know. And I go, teachers? And they go, yeah. And I was like, special ed? And one of them was like, me. And I was like, every fucking time. 4 middle-aged white women, always teachers, always the worst audience members. I know you.
Oh my God.
And the crowd lost their mind. Because it was like, but I've done it 1 out of every 2 times.
Why do you think so? Why do you think that is?
They spend all day being so patient.
Yeah.
They spend all day going like, please, you're okay. Like, you guys are doing great. And then they go to comedy shows and they're just like, fuck your dreams. Fuck you. And you're just like, let's go. So that was a good one. Yeah. So that was one recently where
it's just like all bottled in.
And they just let it out at the comedy show. And I'm like, well, listen, we could talk about my incredible comedy instincts that would entertain people for days. But instead, this is a show about sports. And it's time we start it. Hit the music. Let's go.
You're a #1 fan, so you know the stats. Heard all the pundits talking, so you know enough of that. Maybe it's time to hear some crazy folks chat about all the other stuff that's behind the net. But maybe you don't care about playing ball, and you want to hear the gossip whether big or small. Maybe it's time to hear some funny folks talk about what goes on when the batter don't walk. Maybe you'd like to hear a little more maybe you don't even care about sports. Either way, go on and buckle up your shorts. Cause this is everything but the scores with Danny Jollis. Yeah, doggity.
And we're back. What a theme song.
NBC.
There it is. So our first story, and I'm curious if this was the story you were going to talk about, but I was like, because you said, I always send ahead of time, hey, do you like any sports?
Yeah.
And you sent back cricket, and I was like, okay. It's not one I know well, but the beauty of sports and the beauty of this podcast is there's always an interesting story. So I spent this entire morning learning about Sandpaper Gate.
Sandpaper. Oh, Sandpaper Gate with the ball? Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Okay.
Do you know about this story?
I know I know what it means to sandpaper a ball. Mm-hmm. I just don't know specifically who did it. Who did this recently?
So I learned about it because this happened in March 2018.
Oh,
So,
okay.
So 5 years ago. But,
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Also,
Sandpaper.
5 years ago, 2018. I mean, time doesn't make sense.
I know, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. But yes.
Sorry.
And also what's happened to our lives.
Yeah. But I thought, so when you said Sandpaper Gate, I thought that was something recently that happened, and I didn't clock that. But yes, I remember something happened.
So this was a big one. So first off, so part of me telling the story is going to be like, walk me through how cricket works, because
Yeah.
I think I understand. But it was South Africa versus Australia,
Okay.
and it was the third day of the third test.
Okay, so third day of the third test. All right, this seems like something Australia would do.
This feels like it is Australia that did it. But
Did it? Was it?
But third day,
Was it?
it is Australia that did the problem. But what does third day of third test mean? Do you know what that means?
Third day of third test.
Because the test, I think, is what a match is called.
Yes. So there's different formats of cricket.
Okay.
The longest format and the oldest format and dying format is called the test. The test is, well, it really is a test because it's a 5-day game, 9 to 5. It's like a job.
Wow.
And you start in the morning and you end at 5 when the sun goes down, and you try to get as many balls bowled, as in like played. Mm-hmm. And essentially every 6 balls bowled is an over. An over as in like, and then you can change your bowler as in the pitcher, right? So in a day of a test match, 90 overs are bowled, right? So 90 times 6, 540 balls are pitched, right?
And people will watch.
People will
9 to
watch.
5.
9 to 5. People will literally. People used to do this as like, because you could pop in, watch a little bit, go do your thing, and they literally have breaks built in. They have lunch. They have tea.
Love that.
Love tea.
Love the tea.
So lunch is like 45 minutes, and then you have tea.
How long's tea?
Tea is 20 minutes.
Okay.
But
Pre-made tea.
you're-
Pre-made
but,
tea then.
yeah.
Can't make tea in that amount of time. Gonna have to
No.
pre-make it. Gonna have to pre-make the tea.
It's definitely pre-made tea. There's a tea guy.
There's
back
a tea
there.
guy who's like,
There's a tea guy 10 minutes before. Be like, tea guy, it's your turn. He's
hey,
like,
what-
finally, put me in.
put a camera on him. That's the real. That's the real game. Is him being like, I got an hour.
The tea
I'm
guy.
gonna time this out.
So
We're
there's
gonna
the
be
lunch
slightly
break.
delayed. No.
Yeah. There's the tea guy, and so the tea is made, and then there's 2 breaks: the lunch and then the tea, and you go home at 5. You come back again at 9, and the goal is, so you have to put a certain amount of runs up. Let's say you put 100 runs, and then you lose all your batters. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then the second team tries to make 100 runs with all their batters. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you following so far?
I genuinely am following.
Right.
It sounds it's like everything I have to take out of my like American sports brain, because everything goes like, oh, it feels like a long game. Because remember in America, baseball's too long. It's too slow. So
Yeah.
it's like this is.
So yes, it is very so the reason people really like this format, or at least used to before, and I'll get to why things have changed now, because it's boring. But but in cricket, you have to bowl. When I say bowl, I mean pitch, like baseball. You have to bowl the ball on the pitch. The pitch is the the flat surface.
People's brains are exploding, but I'm actually following. Yes.
You're following.
Yeah. The pitch is famously what they call the field in all of Europe.
Yes,
That is,
the pitch.
The pitch is what they play soccer
So-
on.
So you have to hit the ball into the ground, right? And the ball deviates then before it gets to the batter. Got you?
Yes. So instead of a curve, and if I were to put it in baseball terms, instead of a curveball where you're pitching it in the air to curve, you're pitching it, you're bowling it in a way where it's going to hit the ground and spin.
Spin, or if you're a fast bowler, as in like, so there's two different types of bowlers.
Yep.
The fast bowler, which is the guy bowling at 90 miles an hour and using sheer speed and curves and movements with the ball to try to get the batter out. Then you got the spin bowler who's using the track and the cracks in the track to try to deceive the batter, right? So there's two different types of bowlers, and you use it based on strategy. In the beginning of the day, in a test match, the ball is shiny and new. So it's going to go really fast, and it's going to move in the air as well as off the track. So you want your fastest bowlers first. The ones that are going to like sling it in and get the ball to move. Then when the ball gets old and dirty and grippy and you know, basically...
And they don't sub balls in and out.
No. It's one ball for the whole batting inning, and then when the entire 10 batters are out, the new team now, the batting team, which is now bowling, gets a brand new ball.
Got it.
Okay.
So basically, the spinners come in deep into the innings. Sometimes you can use a strategy to have a spinner early on to like fuck with someone's head.
Smart.
Yeah, but the ball's not going to spin that much because it's very shiny.
Right.
And there's not enough friction on it. But when it's like been hit around all day, there's a lot of cracks in it. It's really grippy, and then the spinners come in and they spin the ball off the track.
So this is where Sandpaper Gate, I believe, lives.
Yes.
In that difference of the ball.
So there's two reasons why you want the ball to get worn. One, to bring the spinners in earlier than you want because you have better spinners. Or physics. So I'll tell you why. So there's a shiny side of the ball, and then there's the rough side of the ball. The shiny side of the ball is not as heavy and will move through the air faster than the rough side of the ball. So if you have a rough side of the ball, so you face the rough side into the direction you want the ball to go into the batter. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's like, which way do you want the ball to curve in? Do you want it to curve in, or do you want it to curve out? And so the more you have a different two sides of the ball, the more it's going to mess with the batter's head and get the batter out.
Interesting. So that's where this happened.
Sandpaper Gate.
March 24th, 2018, third day, third test. Wow. After the 43rd over of South Africa's second innings. All words that we now know.
I have to say, you explained that so well. That
Yeah.
the first time I heard that sentence, I was like, I've never heard a sentence like that before. The second time I heard that sentence, I was like, I've never heard a more clear sentence in my
So
life.
second innings now, each batting team gets 2 times at bat.
So I'm assuming this is after lunch.
So the reason it's 5 days is because all 4 innings need to happen in 5 days. So I'll explain what that means. A batting team goes up, posts a score. The other team goes up, posts another score. Then the first team goes up again to try to add to their score from...
Right.
And then the second team is now trying to get that final total.
Oh, interesting. So it's 2 times up per inning.
Per inning, yes.
Wow.
But then...
That makes no sense.
That makes no sense. Right?
Hate that. That's the first thing I've really not liked about cricket. I'm sorry to say.
Yes, that's okay. We all hate you, but it's okay.
I tried to be
Wow,
understanding,
I
but
think it's really offensive.
I know, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, and I tried, but then
So-
2 times through per inning, why not just make it double the amount of innings every time through is an inning? Go
Yes.
ahead.
Now, fast forward to today. People don't want to sit for 5 days to wait for something to end,
Sure.
right? So now, it's cut down to 20 overs a side,
Okay.
right? So that's 120 balls. It's usually done in 3 hours,
Like baseball.
like baseball. And so one team posts a total, right? And the second team has to chase that total down. Simple. Okay? So, but the physics of the ball and everything still apply.
Yeah.
Like, they use a ball that wears much quickly than the test ball because they know it's 20 overs. So you still have the fastest bowlers coming in the beginning and bowling, but by over 10 is where it starts to get a little rough.
Right.
Instead of over 50.
So this was 43rd.
Yeah.
And so it was Cameron Bancroft, which is the most
mischievous thing.
Cameron Bancroft.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful on Cameron Bancroft. So it happens on TV apparently, like a TV camera. Some camera guy just caught him. He just has this yellow piece of paper and he's sanding the ball. It happens on camera, shown on the big screen in the arena.
Yeah.
Everything like kind of stops. They then cut back to him and because someone told him like, you just got seen doing that. So he like shoves the yellow thing into his pants. That's also caught on camera. So they come over to him and they're like, apparently the umpires like had a long discussion with him. And then they were like, he didn't do anything. We're going to continue to play. But it was all shown on TV. So everybody saw it. And therefore it became Sandpaper Gate, because after the words, he basically was like, first off, so I watched this press conference afterwards.
Yeah, what was the aftermath? What happened?
So the aftermath was ugly and interesting because, I compare it to baseball. Everything cricket, I compare to baseball like a dummy. And so in baseball, like the Houston Astros cheated for years.
Because it's the signs, right?
Signs. Got caught cheating, smacking a trash can in the back. Once they stole the signs, they were hitting a trash can. That's how the batters knew what pitch was coming. Wild system. Wow. So when they got caught, it was reported they did it. They were like, we didn't. And then they were like, I think we have very strong evidence. You did. Like, we didn't. And it wasn't until the 20th time they were like, all right, we literally see, like, this is now a photo of your guy smacking a trash can. We have videos of the trash can being hit, that they were like, all right, we stole some signs. Like, it took so long for them to admit it. Some of them still won't really admit it.
Okay, but so the thing is,
these guys came out. I mean, in the press conference afterward, he's like, so I was altering it. He didn't say he was using sandpaper, but he was like, I did have something. I was trying to alter the ball, and I'm sorry. And like immediately seems to admit it. Then like the next day, the Australian like governor comes out and is like, I mean, everybody's almost in tears immediately. Like this is the way I wish baseball had treated our controversy. The way everybody is like, we've destroyed our sport. We're so ashamed of what we've done. Like everyone is horrified.
Yeah,
it was bad. Yeah, he admitted it was sandpaper. He knew of the plan in advance. So this is Steve Smith, who was the captain, knew about the plan.
Steve Smith and David Warner were both
yes.
Banned? Yeah, okay. So I remember this. So Steve Smith and David Warner both served 1-year bans because of this. And I don't know what happened with Cameron Bancroft.
I believe he got 9 months.
9 months, okay.
Which is, in baseball, I mean, it takes so much to get a year.
Yeah.
I like how seriously this was taken. If there's one thing I saw as an American from this thing, I was like, hey, that's how you treat somebody who tries to cheat. Because you're like, you don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's a worldwide sport like cricket, right? And so, like baseball, we think like in our Eurocentric worlds that everything happens here. There's no like baseball, football, like that's the biggest sport ever. But there's sports like, so literally soccer is the biggest sport in the world.
Soccer.
And cricket is probably next, honestly, because it's played worldwide, and you have hundreds of thousands of people from all over the world and millions like on TV watching from all over the world, just watching international teams play.
Yes.
Meanwhile, you have, I'm sure, a lot of people watching NFL and NBA and stuff like that, but it's like the world versus just our America.
Oh yeah. And it is like, I mean, it's awesome, and it's something actually the NFL has really started like paying attention to. Harper, I swear to God.
But what happens then is that like the NBA, the MLB, the NFL, these are organizations that are like essentially they're profit machines from the head up.
Right.
The cricket association called the ICC is just a council that manages all these teams playing each other. So
really,
Yeah, and the individual teams get the money. So as a result, it's like an international incident versus a contained MLB incident. Do you understand?
I love that, and also that makes perfect sense because I saw that there because it was like a suspension that seemed to go like across the world, which I was like, how? What does that mean? That's wild.
So there's a governing body, and there's a lot of.
So do the players make a ton?
So the players, depending on the country, right? Mm-hmm. Like depending on how much it is to live in your country,
sure,
it is. People make that via scale, but generally, our cricket players are very well paid, and also, just like there's like the Premier League in for soccer or football in Europe, there's a Indian Premier League because it's India is the biggest supporter of cricket, and so it's the same as having the English Premier League, and so, like all these international cricketers from all over the world come and play in the India domestic 2020 competition, and I say 2020 because it's 20 overs aside. 2020.
Got it.
And
very confusing given the year.
Yes, correct.
I'm sure they must have seen that issue coming in
2019
again, and just nothing about it. And let's make those innings 8 innings versus 4, and continue.
Yeah. So
these are my notes so far in cricket.
Okay, cool. I'll take them directly to the ICC.
Take them to the ICC and let them know. Yeah. Hey, let's just call it 8 innings.
So I have some notes from Danny Jollis.
It's no big deal. Just 8 innings. That's it. And we move on with our life.
So, what was I saying?
I interrupted you. Just that they make a decent amount of money. Everybody goes plays in India.
Everyone plays in India in April. Actually, the playoffs for the IPL, the Indian Premier League, are happening right now.
Ooh.
Yeah, and so there's like.
Is it on ESPN Plus? I think
it is on ESPN Plus.
I have ESPN Plus, and I always see it.
It's interesting. If we have some time, I'll show you some highlights or something.
I would love to. I would love to do that. We of course can't show it on YouTube because
exhilarating.
That can take me down.
Yeah.
God forbid we try to educate people on a sport. But this is, by the way, for the pod, like so fun to not talk about like the sports we always talk about and do this one. I was like pumped about it because I was like, this is so fun and interesting for me. Also, like I learned about this thing this morning.
If you're a baseball fan, you're gonna love this because it's like you know how basketball is so active? Mm-hmm. Cricket is that active, especially if you're playing 2020. Don't watch test matches; those are not fun. But 2020 is the future because you have such a limited amount of time to get as many runs as possible.
How long is the 2020 game?
3 hours.
Great.
Done.
Love it.
3 hours, you're done. Each side takes 90 minutes to finish their 120 balls. And basically you get you know how like
that's more than a ball a minute.
How many home runs do you think happen in a baseball game?
I would guess if I were a betting man, I'm going to go anywhere from 3 to 6
home runs per baseball game.
Yeah.
Do you really think it's that high, 3 to 6? But okay, fine.
In modern baseball, yes.
Probably in modern baseball, 3 to 6.
We're smacking the ball pretty hard. In Yankee Stadium, 100. It's a joke.
Yeah, it's small. So in cricket, there are 6s where you hit out of the ground, and 4s, which are also really fun to watch. Basically, like ground rule doubles. Okay, and you get to see that 50 times, 60 times in a match. Now compare that to baseball.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So think about the peel, whereas you're just like, the pitcher balls, all right, nothing happens. But nothing happens. Whereas in this, you have an opportunity that if you make contact, you can still run and make a run.
So wild. You run to a base?
Yeah, there's only 2 bases.
We have to take another break.
Okay, yeah.
But I think we're probably, are we just going to talk about cricket the entire time? I might move us off of it just because
Let's move us off of it.
But we're going to have more cricket talk on this show. We got to have more cricket talk. I'm going to learn about cricket.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back. Oh, hey there. During this break in the action, I just wanted to throw out there that this is the perfect opportunity to write a comment or subscribe, or if you're listening, you can just give us a rating and whatever you want. Just this is the moment where during this break, since we don't have a Patreon or anything, this is the moment to do something like that. It'd mean a lot. All right, back to the action. We hopped around a ton, but that's okay. We're back. I like hopping around. I think hopping around is fun. I think it's good. Let's do a couple. We're just going to do a couple quick stories.
Yeah.
For the rest of the time. Let's do this one. There was a baseball player. Jake Sanford, Yankee prospect. High, 3rd round pick, 2019. Playing in the minors. Had $597,000 contract. So he's not like just a guy in the minors. He just got kicked out of the Yankees because he was stealing equipment from the other players on his team in the minor leagues and selling it online to people as merch for no reason. One of the biggest unforced errors, a phrase I love to use, unforced errors I've ever heard of. Completely destroys his career. Stealing equipment, selling online. What are we doing?
I think that's the stupidest thing I've heard in my life.
And
they'll never know. I only
yeah.
see them every day.
Well, part of it's like
Guys, I need
And
some
it's
money.
online.
part of it's like because I guess he would ask his fellow teammates for their equipment, like, "Hey, can I borrow? Like, can I have your gloves and stuff?" Which in the minors, because remember, a lot of them aren't on $600,000 contract. A lot of them are there for $20,000 a year. They get paid peanuts.
Yeah.
In minor league baseball, so it's like, no, you can't have my gloves. These are literally my gloves. Like these are all we have.
Why is one of the most well-paid players in the minor league stealing other people's equipment and then selling it to make a...
So nobody quite knows. I would say if I were a betting man, I'm going to say he's probably a gambler. Would be my guess. Gambling always tends to be because it's competitive. It tends to be athletes have it tends to. That's my guess.
Maybe. But it just doesn't make logical sense to me because...
It makes no logical. I mean, why would you do such a thing?
Like, the minor leaguers aren't famous, so their equipment's not going to fetch for as much as a major leaguer.
Oh yeah, I mean, and so part of the reason he got caught was because he also wasn't delivering what he promised people. So he was also scamming people out of the things he was going to send.
He was running an equipment Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, it's like on top of the stealing equipment, he also wasn't delivering
In the
product.
minor leagues.
Yeah. It's like, so it's like
the
one
shittiest version of Bernie Madoff I've ever seen in my life.
Truly. I mean, it's so stupid. I mean, the thing, I think he got, it's a $75 was one of the ones. Shane Ronan, he bid on Twitter for a pair of Sanford signed baseball gloves.
Yeah.
Which were auctioned by Adopt a Minor Leaguer, nonprofit organization that helps minor leaguers. His $75 bid was only for $75, and then he just never sent the gloves. So that's also why he got caught.
I think this dude was asking to be caught. He's stealing from the players. He makes a shit ton of money compared to the rest of his team.
Yep.
He puts it online for people to bid. Doesn't go through with the giving them the people.
Oh, yeah. And the players, I mean, obviously are... And then, because he's also stealing from them. So they're all... Everybody... Sounds like everybody hated this guy. And for them to give up a 3rd round... Like, he was... They keep, like, a list of, like, rankings of where players are in the system. He was, like, their 20th best prospect. So he was a no-joke baseball player. He wasn't doing great, but he's a no-joke baseball player.
How do you screen for kleptomaniacs in the draft?
They don't. I mean, it's a great question. They do. So in football, famously, they interview players, and it's like an hour-long interview where they'll talk to athletes and they'll like really try to sense, like, not necessarily klepto, but like who you are as people. In all these sports, they're trying to like get a sense of that because that is a real
Millions
thing.
of dollars are on the line.
Millions of dollars on the line, and who is this person? What do they really like?
No team wants to get Jamarcus Russell or Ryan Leaf.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, for the old school football fans, you'll know what that means. But those who don't, those are quarterbacks.
You don't know sports, all you need to know.
Yep, is that those are 2 quarterbacks who, let's just say, took the money and ran.
Well, Ryan Leaf had a serious addiction problem. Flew on a plane with Ryan Leaf once. Couldn't believe I spotted him.
This is where the sympathy is coming from. Okay, here we go.
It
takes one flight with Ryan Leaf, and now he's like, this man did nothing wrong.
You read Ryan Leaf. Ryan Leaf wrote an article 4 or 5 years ago that was like so beautiful about like, but openly just admitting, like, he went to jail. I mean, Ryan Leaf went to jail at a certain point because he was.
Ryan, are you hearing this? I see Danny.
Ryan Leaf. I would love to have you on the pod. I would be so fascinated to talk with you on the pod because I think that his story is really amazing. He had it all, fucked it up.
Yeah.
Fucked it up in a way like past Jake Sanford level. I mean, fucked up. I mean, tens of millions of dollars. If you're number one overall, drafted over Peyton Manning, I believe.
Yeah.
Drafted over Peyton Manning.
Peyton was
one,
2.
two, and So, I mean, if you're a number one overall draft pick, you can be god-awful, and you'll still be in the league 5 years just off of nobody wanting to quit on you.
Yeah.
And he still lost all the money, went to jail, addiction problems, and then got clean, and now is really like an advocate of like, talks to young athletes. Hey, these are the mistakes I made. It's beautiful. It's a really great guy.
The thing is, everyone hates. Okay, this will all make sense in 15 seconds. 15. Everyone hates social media, but it has been transformative in getting to know a snapshot of how people brand themselves, how people put themselves forward. Anything that gets you more information on $1 million prospect, I think is helpful. Otherwise, these organizations are going to lose a lot of money. I mean, let's not have too much sympathy for them because they're already making hundreds of millions. But yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, that's like you want to be able to.
You're trying to screen for this sort of shit, and gambling stuff, in particular in baseball. Obviously, baseball rocked by gambling in the past
and betting.
Can't have it now. Gambling's easier than ever. Everybody's doing it.
Oh yeah.
So, except California, inexplicably.
Yeah.
But so, do you want to fix? And listen, I don't want to get political, but I don't know. Seems like we could use a little bit more money in our California government. Feels like if we just made gambling online illegal and tax it, we would be able to pay for everything.
Yeah.
That's just me spitballing.
Yeah. Among other things, by the way. Among other things.
Sometimes a little bit of just something being like, hey, let's just make this. You already have it at casinos here. So
like, people are going to do this.
It's not hard to do. You can just drive to the casino. So why not just make it easier and tax it?
This is how I feel about other things that people just want to do. Like, things that people want to do, people will want to do. Banning something doesn't mean that people aren't gonna want to do it. Like, they'll just find a way around doing it illegally, doing it unsafely.
And particularly for gambling, where I go, because it's one thing to be like, make gambling legal. Hey, that's a debate. I'll have that debate all day because I understand it. I've seen people lose their life to gambling. I've seen it. It's very serious, but it's already legal. We can already do it here.
Yeah.
You can go to a casino.
Just drive an hour.
So why are we drawing this line on, but not on your phone, if you can do it at the casino?
Yeah.
That's my issue.
Yeah.
My issue is either make it illegal, or let's tax this thing and let's make some money, baby.
Wait, DraftKings
is legal.
Is legal.
But you can't gamble on the line. So you can gamble on individual players in California. So I can gamble, like I can go on Prize Picks or any of these sites. I can do an over-under. I can bet Luka Doncic will score over 30 points tonight. This person will do this thing. I can put that bet on my phone. What I cannot do is say the Mavericks will win +3. That's illegal.
What?
That'll send me to the street. Because it makes no sense. California gambling makes no sense. I can do DraftKings all day, no issues. Cannot gamble on the line.
That makes zero sense to me.
Because basically what they did was they allowed daily fantasy. So they allowed daily fantasy, which then allows over-unders.
Look, man, they allowed medical marijuana first.
They did.
So let's just be patient.
And by the way, has that not been great for our taxes? Have we not
made
so much money off of that?
Yeah, it's the gateway policy. Everything can be done in one
quick story. But just a happy story, because I feel like a lot of times we see online when everyone's yelling about this topic, which is the women's soccer team not being paid. Big news. Women's soccer team being paid. Women's soccer team
finally
getting paid. 50-50 split with the men for this upcoming World Cup. Let's fucking go. Let's all post about it and be happy because we've yelled about it for years. So I feel like it happened and everybody was like, yeah, whatever. And it's like, guys,
that's amazing.
Guys, huge get.
I always had beef with this argument of like, women's soccer doesn't make any money, and that's why they shouldn't get paid enough as men. How about you haven't ever put in enough money in the first place? If something has no money, how can it be a force to generate more money? It's a catch-22. We're broke, but you want us to, like, we have no marketing money.
And you see what the NBA has done with the WNBA. How they have put money into that thing, and how as a return, yes, it's not making as much as the NBA, but WNBA... They're pulling numbers. People know about the WNBA. It's awesome. They put in the money. and the money came back.
You can't compare something that has like 100-year history of like, research and development and working on things and like what is in people's culture to all of a sudden be like, and now things are gonna be. Oh, you're not.
We started this yesterday.
We started this yesterday. Yeah, it hasn't fixed.
What? Yeah. Oh, it's insane. And I've always said also like, but look, you can make the case like NWSL, which is the Women's Soccer League. Yes, it does not draw in a lot of numbers. More than fair. Fair point. MLS draws in more. Hard to argue.
But still, compared to the world,
but the
nothing.
National teams.
Yeah.
And no. Our women's team draws in massive ratings. They draw in almost equal ratings to the men because our men's team hasn't been as good. Now, if our men's team actually made the World Cup this year, so now if the men's team is good.
And by the way,
hang on to your seatbelt. Don't think they will be, but we do have Christian Pulisic, the best young player in the world.
WNBA, I will say that I have learned more about the sport of basketball watching WNBA than I have been watching the NBA.
Back in my coaching days, I coached for a hot second basketball.
Yeah.
I would always tell the kids, watch WNBA games. Watch WNBA games because they play a much more fundamental game because nobody can just jump over another human.
And you have so many isolation moves where like, all right, James Harden.
So, it's just James Harden. Everybody else runs the other side. WNBA, it's all about movement and shots. It's about can you get a little bit of separation, hit your shot. They're incredible shooters, and it's all movement based. And it's all about like cutting, filling lanes. Like it's really easy to learn like the fundamentals of basketball through WNBA versus NBA because they're minus a couple players, nobody can even really dunk. And I don't say it in a negative way. I say it in like, so they find other ways to score, and it's awesome.
And I think that while it's fun watching people just train roll over each other,
absolutely.
I think overall it's fun, but for the sport of basketball, it's not doing much for it. Yeah. Like the actual sport of it, because when you want to like enjoy like a team sport or whatever, you go and play with your friends and you want to be able to and everyone's either Steph Currying or trying to dunk over someone or like just ramming someone on a court. I'm like, hey, what happened to actually playing the game?
No, it's awesome and it's changed it. Yes,
I think that's also a solid argument for even like the UFC and fighting. For a while, everybody just wanted to watch the heavyweights swing at each other. But then that's why now, like, the lightweights, the featherweights, all the women's divisions are so popular is because you then see the technical side. You're like, it's not just going to be two big people beating the shit out of each other. It's a technical way. So then when those things happen, there's even more of a reward.
Oh, yeah. And it speaks to, yes. And it's awesome how the money will follow, too. It's like the money, like UFC... They had a women's division. They were pushing that women's division, but nobody caught. And then Ronda Rousey caught. She caught national media, and now their women's division is it's great. Fight songs. They headline. It was Holly Holm was headlining this past weekend. That was the main event.
I don't know. I was gonna say I watched.
Put your finger up, and I liked it. And I flagged it. Looked at you. You weren't ready for it.
Yeah,
but
wasn't ready for it.
But let me tell you something. You put your finger up in this room. I pay attention.
Yes, you. No, I'm good.
Here's one more story. Big news follow up to one story really fast. Oakland A's stadium, which we've been tracking here for a while. Cats living in the stadium. Big problems. Nobody's coming to their games, so animals are just living in there. Now got possums. They now got possums in the press box. Just a little update on the Oakland A's stadium. Possums now in the press box. We will continue to update you on what animals live inside their stadium and what's happening.
I feel like if you do eventually start a Patreon, the only thing you should have on there is just live feed. You know how at the zoos they have animals?
I know.
It would just be the Oakland A's, just whatever animals are living there.
If I go to Oakland at some point for a show, I just want to go to that stadium and just, with a camera, just be like, how many animals can I find in the stadium? Supposedly, it is a train wreck.
Where are these animals coming from?
So the stadium... was not really used a ton during the pandemic, and so apparently a bunch of like 40 feral cats moved in. The cats led to a bunch of other things, but then it's a shitty run organization. It's literally what the plot of Moneyball is we don't have money. But it was incredible because they won. But in real life, they continue to lose because they don't have money. So this season they're particularly bad. Nobody's going to their games this year.
Why? Because of the possums?
Because the team is bad. Oh. Well, also yes, because of the possums. Because the team is cats, and then the cats led to other things, and then the cats
we'll just watch from home.
Well, at a certain point, the Oakland A's came out and they were like, "Well, we're just gonna let the cats live here," and it was like that seems bad. And so then the cats are living in the stadium. Now the possums are in the stadium. That's great. I live for this.
Wow.
This
so
is-
everything's happening except for baseball.
Yes. I think they had like 5,000 people show up to a game the other day.
Oh no.
And it's like, what are we doing? Hey, what are we doing, Oakland? Let's go.
The Yankees minor league probably has more than.
Oh, yeah. There's some minor league teams that pull in. Savannah Bees. Savannah Bees are a fascinating little story nobody cares about. Savannah Bees are basically the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. They're big on TikTok. They're just doing dances on the field. It's wild.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, so that's why they're pulling in a shit ton.
Oh, they're pulling in some nuts.
because they're famous on
The
TikTok.
Savannah Bees have really made a run. They're doing dances mid-play. It's awesome. I'm into it.
How much do you think? How many people do you think come to a Savannah Bee show?
I have no clue.
Or not a show, but
What?
a game.
You look up Savannah Bees,
show.
how many people tend to do their attendance. I bet it's full. They're
You
making
think
a
it's
lot of money.
full?
Yeah. And one last thing, just one last story before we get out of here. In wrestling, Naomi and Sasha Banks, two of their biggest stars, Sasha Banks being maybe one of their biggest female stars, walked out mid-show on live TV this past week.
Why?
Sick of the story. They didn't like the story. They didn't like the match they had to do.
What do you mean the story?
So, wrestling is a story.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to be in a main event.
Yeah, sorry,
and
guys.
And apparently...
Also, Santa Claus doesn't exist.
And every wrestling fan knows this. But they
Can I just okay.
mid-show walked out and were like, we're not doing this. And they were tag team champions, threw their tag belts down, and now are just never going to appear on the show again. It's a fascinating situation. I've never seen it. I've never seen mid-show somebody walk out and just not do the match. And it's awesome because I think they've had it, and it's
good for them. Is this like the WWE?
WWE.
Oh.
Now, yes, would you like to ask a wrestling question?
Yeah, I have a wrestling question.
Yes.
And this is one I'm sure you've answered before.
Yes.
You don't mind
Which part?
that it's,
That's fake?
yeah.
I've said this once, I'll say it 500 times, but do you know what else is fake on TV?
What?
Everything's fake. It's a TV show. Think of it like a TV show. They're telling you a story. They're telling us so
Okay.
it's all a story.
So-
and they're telling you a story that's going to have interesting moves and subplots and things that other sports can't necessarily get out. It's beautiful and it's a story.
Okay. So it's scripted television.
Yes.
Right. But it may not be in the sports category because it's
Sports entertainment. Literally a category specific for wrestling. Yes, but it's all story. So while you can't,
how can you compare that to basketball?
You can't compare it to basketball. But what you can compare it to is watching Coach Carter. You watch something where you go, yes, it's a movie, but you get to see a better story. While UFC will have a real match that's incredible, watching Daniel Bryan overcome Triple H and the Authority to win a championship belt is one of the greatest moments I've ever seen because it was a story told over the course of a year that athletically we got to see play out on live TV. That is what makes wrestling the best. What
Okay.
makes wrestling the best is that you will see someone who is athletically doing things that is still incredible. They're still doing these things while simultaneously telling you a story and building a plot that if you pay attention over the course of months and years will pay off for you.
Wow.
And with that, we head to our final segment. We'll see you in a second. Oh, hey, during this break in the action, I have nothing else to say. I just want to give us a break in the action. Thank you for watching. Keep subscribing, rating. All right, let's go back. And we're back with maybe one of the smartest episodes we've had in quite some time. Dare I say.
Thanks.
You've been a phenomenal guest. Kapil. I call you Cap, but I feel like I'm supposed to be more formal because you're actually on the show.
Yeah.
But what would you like the people to know about you?
Thanks for having me, first. And second, I'm currently recurring on Charmed. The thing should stop.
And you're being sexy? No.
Oh,
You're good. You're good. Don't let him scare you.
Right.
I was up to all sorts of things that you can't even imagine right now.
All right. I'm on Charmed on CW. And that run, I mean, it's the last season, so check it out before it's done. And then right now we're filming Night Court for NBC, so that never gets old. And we'll be done filming sort of in the middle of July, and we're probably like 7-8 episodes done now.
Let's go.
And so that's going to be out in the winter of the 2022-2023 season.
Let's go. Hey, let's go.
Fucking go. It's going to be so
Fucking
fun. I just want to say that this show, Night Court, if you haven't watched the old 80s one, it has the format of that and has the integrity of like what that is, like a classic multicam sitcom. It's got like, I think that a lot of the sitcoms in the last 20 years are it's less like vaudevillian, less like slapstick. This is slapstick. Like if you want to just turn your brain off, see a guy get a pie slapped in his face,
My favorite type of thing.
like slip on a banana peel.
Physical Comedy Fridays.
Physical Comedy Fridays, dude. You would love the show. It literally is. There's a new physical bit. Something is crazy shit is always happening in this, and you literally show up to turn your brain off, watch something that is really fun, and go to bed. That is
Love that.
what the show's for. And I'm really excited for people to see it because I truly don't think there's anything like it on television. And we got a great cast, and you should check it out when it is out.
Let's fucking go. Closer to that date, we will replug it, but whenever that date is, but go watch the old one.
Yeah.
Get
go watch
yourself
the old one.
ready. Get yourself geared up.
Yeah, watch the old one for sure.
Noah, what'd you like to plug?
There's just something going on June 4th. I feel like people need to know about
June
that.
4th, for the love of fuck.
Danny, I'm going to come. June 4th at 7 and 9:30, right? Yes.
7 show, dangerously close to sold out already.
Really?
9:30 show. Still plenty of seats. Could use 20. 9:30 show. Still
No. So, but definitely go on Danny's IG to his Linktree thing, and you can super easy to buy tickets.
super easy to buy a ticket. Easy to do. Easy to get done.
Yes, I will come at the 9:30 show.
Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go, Cap. And now there's one final thing. It is time for our conclusion. That last week was the most exciting thing we've ever had happen on this show.
What?
3 shots of glory. You now get 3 shots.
Okay.
Everyone puts it together at a certain point. They're like, oh, okay.
Oh,
It's
cool.
not as terrifying as it looks when we all start moving very suddenly. You get 3 shots from the couch to here.
Uh-huh.
After weeks and weeks of people not even coming close. Last week, Jessica Michelle Singleton nailed it. Our first winner. Her headshot will go up in this room. And for you too, that is an option for you.
I get 3 shots.
3 shots. Now, and again, just one more time for the audio listeners, this is where the YouTube really does come in handy because you will get to physically see this but I will try to describe as best I can. Okay, here we go.
All right, here
Coming
we go.
over. He's thinking it now. Getting a feel for the ball like
I'm
that.
getting a good
Smart.
feel for the ball, just because I want to see how it moves through the air.
Okay. Usually what the first shot is for.
Okay, I see. I see. I'm making adjustments.
Gotta make adjustment on there.
Okay.
But the first shot,
Air
little short. Second shot though. Little shot. Still a little short. Yeah, but and we're gonna move a little bit. Harper, be careful. I got it.
This is harder than it looks, by the way.
It's much harder than it looks. Much harder than it looks. No,
This is harder than it
picked up
looks.
Noah's mic.
Because yeah. First of all, yeah, it's
But
fine.
this is the final shot. He now knows what he's doing. This is it. The moment. Shot up.
Oh, that was close.
It was very
That was
close.
close. That was
Unfortunately-
close.
No cigar. We'll see you next week.
You're a #1 fan, so you know the stats. Heard all the pundits talking, so you know enough of that. Maybe it's time to hear some crazy folks chat about all the other stuff that's behind the net. But maybe you don't care about playing ball, and you want to hear the gossip whether big or small. Maybe it's time to hear some funny folks talk about what goes on when the batter don't walk. Maybe you'd like to hear a little more. Maybe you don't even care about sports. Either way, go on and buckle up your shorts. Cause this is everything but the scores with Danny Jollis. Yeah, doggity.